Okay, we're here on our project and I'm going to show you how to do concrete countertops. However, there is a concrete stain countertop material on here now, but it's not the right stuff and it stains very easily. So what was under here previously was a granite tile. So you can't really see, but we took the sink off, the stovetop off, and then it used to be granite tiles. So it was a smooth surface. So we're starting out with our bonding primer. This is the first coat you would do on your surface, whether it's a laminate, a granite, or whatever. You can go right over it with the bonding primer. And what you would need is a trowel and your gallon of bonding primer, and you're going to trowel it on your surface. You'll be sanding it in between coats, so having a little bit of bumps along the way is okay. So it's just going to come in and get your coating going on. This may require 2 coats on your surface. It just depends on what you're going over. You've taped and masked off your countertops and your surfaces. You've stirred your bonding primer very well. And you're going to apply it on. This is nothing to do with the beauty coat nor the total look of the concrete. This is just for bonding, so then the product can bond to it. So you want to trowel your entire surface with this. For your edges on the side, it's pretty liquidy, so you can use a brush. And I do a slow build up with a brush on the edge. So you're welcome to do that. And then I'll compress it with the trowel after it sets up a little and add product to it. So we've taped off our surface, we've hung plastic over the cabinet so we don't have any concrete dripping on it. So we'll just leave it there and that'll set up. This is really grippy, it has some sand in it. So once it bonds to the surface, it really will provide a nice grip for the next layer. Okay, so we're finished with our first coat of bonding primer. It's a basic, straightforward trowel. You're not going to see any beauty coats. You'll have little bumps here, but all that stuff will come off when we sand it. It's too wet to do anything with it now. And it'll probably be 2 coats of the bonding primer on here to fill all the gaps and things like that. Once again, we were fairly lucky because we're going over a really smooth surface, but you can still you'll just build up your bonding primer a little bit more depending on what surface you have. So don't expect great changes on the first day, but it is looking better already, and it won't stain as the previous concrete did. So that's our first step. Okay, here we are going for our second coat of bonding primer. Now, some of the things I want to tell you about the bonding primer is the first coat looks scratchy and you're going to have nubs and things like that. So what you want to do is have your spatula and break down any of the nubs. I'm going to do some of it on film, but it's really loud. So you're going to break down your nubs, and another thing is you really want to kind of get up on your seams and get all that extra concrete out, and it turns to dust. And you want to scrape your sides like this and underneath and get all of your little niblets off. You also want to take 100 grit sandpaper and sand down your surface, get everything that you don't like out, as well as you'll be brushing off all the debris into a dustpan. It's really recommended that you remove your tape every layer, because this stuff can really build in and make it kind of a mess for you to get your blue tape out. So if you remove your tape, even along like your sink line and everything, and retape, you'll have a better quality Lucky thing I painted these cabinets because I just ripped off the color. You'll have a better quality product at the end of the day with your lines, you know, really clean, and that way you can get up all this buildup off of your outside lines, you know, and your cracks here. You don't want it to be really heavy on these seams. So that's what you do, and then you're going to go about with the bonding primer one more time, troweling on a second coat. If I started on this area the first time, I'm going to start in this area and pull it this way. It's just better to start on the opposite side that you started on for your second coat. On your second coat of bonding primer, you want to look at day 2's product and take the colorant and really, really, really shake it. You want to shake it for a long time, and the reason why you do this early is because it's going to bring up a bunch of bubbles. But you want your product, you want all the colorant to be shaken really well, and then the bubbles to die down. So make sure you do this hours before you start your colorant, which will be the next stage, which we mix with a powder and then apply the colorant on. So shake your colorant, let that sit to the side, retake your sand, knock off all your nubs, retake your surface, and do your second coat of bonding primer. So you'll take your liquid and you'll put it into your measuring cups, and everything is in the instructions of what proportions you need to do it, as well as each bag is listed with the day, the first layer, the second layer, and the third layer. So just kind of get your colorant stirred up a little bit again, and then I just kind of shake my bag up a little bit and loosen up the powder. It's like when you're baking, you want to add small amounts of powder to your liquid, stirring each time so you don't get big lumps. Like it's kind of like bad gravy, you know? And just get all the powder off of your stick and stir and keep adding your powder. And you're going to add all of your powder to the mix, but you just want to add it slowly and stir consistently. So straight from your measuring cup, you'll be pouring kind of like pancake size amounts of the colorant mixed with the powder onto your surface. I poured a little bit out, a little too much out myself here, but it isn't something that you have to stress about. You can just keep pushing your product around your surface, and when your client comes in, you just start speaking to them as I am here. So just go ahead and keep pulling your product around. You want a really tight trowel. And one thing when you're working, this is the lightest version that they have in their kits. And you don't want to push too hard, because when you have a lighter color, you can always bring up what we call carbon marks. And carbon marks come from pulling your trowel too tight. So you want to walk the fine line of making sure that your product is not on there thickly and you're not pulling too harshly along your surface. This is your first coat. There will be 3 layers. So once again, it's kind of an interesting build-up, so don't overthink it. And, you know, I rub my hand along the edges to get the product on there, and then I kind of soften it with my trowel and compress it onto the surface. But you just go about and you try to stay as organic as you can with the shaping of your trowel. You know, you don't want to trowel like linearly across the surface. And I'm just pushing away some of the debris for whatever reason. I just did, you know. But you can see the scratchy part, and then on the sides, you just can go ahead and use your your smaller spatula to get your sides done, as well as the brush. You can do the brush and the spatula burnishing it down, because you want to, you know, take the time. And if you have a bullnose edge, in the instructions, we'll kind of give you a little bit more of how to deal with bullnose edgings. So it sticks really well, and you need to get it on, and it just takes a little bit of patience to get it along the edge, and then you can clean up, you know, anything that's rough on the bottom. You just scrape that off, and see that I'm just kind of mushing it onto the corner, but I will take my trowel and smash that down, and I'm just coming from both sides and meeting in the middle to apply my first color coat out of 3. So this is your first layer of color mixed with powder, and you just get it on pretty much in the same fashion that you've been using you did when you were using bonding primer. So once again, I'm not pushing really hard. I'm kind of, you know, cascading over the edge, trying to get a buildup. It's a little hard sometimes, those corners, to keep the product to stay. That's why I kind of softly smash it on with my finger, and then I can take sandpaper to it a little later. And then I go across after it's set up a little, just to kind of compress it down. And then it looks really pretty on your first coat. You know, you see interesting lines and shapes, and it gets better as it goes. So sometimes, you know, the first color coat may appear to be somewhat uneven and weird, but you'll do that 3 times, and then you're going to move on to your clear coat. So the instructions give you a really good idea of, you know, the bags are proportioned out, and we're just going to pour out our color. This is our sealer. This is our color sealer that we're applying right now. And the sealer is to seal the color in, and that it probably darkens your countertops about 20% as you're going through the process. But you're just going to want to roll it out. This is your color sealer. You'll be doing a clear coat after the color sealer. You roll it out. You're going to look at all of your edges and make sure that you're even. You're not putting a lot of pressure on it, but you're back rolling as well, so you can get all of your lines out. It lays out really well. It's actually kind of nice. And I just really just like that, pour it out and roll it on. And, you know, if you don't need more than 1 coat of the color sealer. So it's sealing the color into the concrete right now, after you've applied your 3 coats shown in the previous segment. So just roll that out, make sure you don't see any flashing, get a nice even coat on, and you can do your sides. You don't really need a brush here. I have a foam brush to get in any corners if I can't make it, but the roller, you know, the small foam rollers really kind of roll out pretty easily, so I don't need to use my foam brush, but I do have it in my hand just in case I need to get in an area that I can't, you know, reach with the roller. So I'm just checking for anything flashing, and I'll roll along the front and make sure that color seal gets on there. And I'm good. I'm just rolling it along, and I really like the way it laid out. I was very happy with the product. It lays out really nicely, and you can just pour small amounts. It's already mixed for you. You don't have to do anything but roll it, shake it up a little bit, and get your colorant out. Color sealer on your surface. So color seal the whole entire surface. So overall, the product was amazingly easy to use. Fortunately, we didn't have a bullnose edge to deal with. We had a square edge, which I like better in general anyway, and I think you would be really happy to apply this countertop kit on any surface, any countertop that has been bothering you for a long time. This concrete color is beautiful, it's simple, it's light, you have movement, but it's overall very refreshing. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see what you do, which counter in your home you choose to do.